One thing that Julia mentioned earlier, and the four of us kind of talked about this a little bit before, earlier this week, before coming together today, this kind of double standard that exists. So your husband also works in the profession,
Yep.
is a conductor. Julia's husband is also a composer. And she mentioned that, she was the one who always got approached with a, kind of, well, what now? Or, what
That
happened
hasn't
here kind of
changed at
question.
all. That is not
Yeah,
changed.
I was curious. So you have a similar experience then.
They're just they're two stories that I will share. There
Okay.
was one interview that I had. It was with a man of a certain age, to be fair. He said, "So, is your husband going to change diapers?"
Oh boy.
Yeah, but I was kind of proud of my answer. I looked at him and I said, "Well, they're not going to change themselves, are they?"
Good.
And and so there was that. I mean, there was that, and then and actually, this one came from somebody who really ought to have known better. It was a much younger generation who's coming to visit me in Berlin, and Ariadna who was 2 and something by that point, and went with Rafa to travel to, I think it was Belfast or something, and he came and he said, "Oh, so where's Ariadna?" I said, "Oh, she went with Rafa and Gabby to Belfast." He said, "Oh, Rafa took her with him." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, that's brave of him." And I said, "It is? That's his daughter."
Right.
It's like, it's like,
Really his
of
child.
course, I mean, it would never be considered brave of me to take my take my daughter with me. It was just, and he realized what he had said. And he's just an H, and he said, "Oh, no, no, I just mean, I have conductors who can't even handle an interview, and much less another child." I'm like, "Yeah, okay,
Mhm.
nice try, but that's fine."
Mhm. Yeah, it's a
Brave of him. I thought, what?
yeah,
But
still
okay.
still very much a reality. And obviously not just in, I think just in all professions for women, this is just a
Yeah, and also the
Mhm.
question, what are you going to do when she goes to school? What are you going to do? What and oh, you but you don't have help. And then the question, they turn to me, what are you going to do about it? And even, where's the baby?
Mhm.
If I was playing concert, where's the baby now? And so I would always say, oh, I just left her by herself. She's fine. She has a bottle.
Yeah. I get similar answers when I get questions like that. Or I'm like, "Oh, the kids, those guys, right.
She's on the street somewhere.
Where did I
Yeah.
leave them?" Mm.
She'll be fine. She's savvy. She's smart. No problem.
Oh my goodness, that's so funny. So I love to just kind of open up the floor a little bit. We just have like maybe about 10 minutes or so left. And I had another question for Julia, actually, since she's still here, and also Elisa. So Julia, your children are in their 20s now, right? And Elisa,
One's still at home, one at home.
one's still at home, and Elisa, your children are 5 and newborn, right? Yes.
Yeah, almost 6 and newborn.
Almost.
Yes. Mhm.
Right, right. Our kids they have the same age difference.
Yes,
That's great.
yes, yeah, yeah.
Um,
My birthday is on the 31st, so yeah.
I love it. So I I'm really curious about kind of, we have like two different I guess stages, I guess you could say, of parenting happening
Very
now.
much. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm curious to know if we could like thinking of the present tense now, Julia, um the relationship that maybe how can I articulate this? How your children relate to you as not just their mother, but like as a musician now that they're like adults versus like little kids. And also for you, Elisa. So my kids are kind of in between. Mine are 12 and 6. So my son is like completely unimpressed unless unless I'm doing something that he like recognizes, or you know what I mean, is a part of his world in some way. And I think my daughter is still trying to kind of like figure things out, and what even all this is. So I'm just curious to know if you have any I don't know, like if you can kind of think on how your children might see you now in that light as a musician.
Well, it's a very big question. I don't know if I can answer it completely, but the unimpressed part is really interesting. And I actually like that because, you're like, well, I have these accolades or I blah, 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 whatever.
Right.
They don't care
Not at all.
at all. Not at all. No, no. And I mean, they enjoy the music. Neither has gone into music. I did try. And I think also it's so different from Elisa, just the growing up in a musical family like that. I'm coming from a family of mostly doctors and well, most people are medicine actually in my family. So I'm an oddity, and so I think it wasn't as immersive in that way. And I have to say, I have this incredible memory of being at the little airport in Aspen and seeing you as a child. I suddenly remembered seeing your two parents, and your mother's this beautiful thick dark hair, whatever, and seeing this lovely couple and these children running around the airport. I suddenly I remembered that I spent one summer at Aspen, and it was that summer that I saw
Oh, how funny.
two musicians and their children in the airport.
Oh,
Very, very impressive. Very impressive. Must have been in the 80s.
yeah.
Maybe sometime.
Well, if I mean, I might have maybe 1989. I was 7, and my brother was a year and a half or something.
I think it was younger. I think you're younger. So you were
Oh, okay.
toddler age, I think.
Oh, okay. And it would just have been me. Yeah. Funny.
Yeah. So yeah. So but I really like the shared interest. They come to some concerts sometimes. Not as many as when I schlepped them to all the concerts, but my son was really into chess. Tried various things. Piano. He's like just drawn to that chessboard, and then that's really fascinating. So I'm kind of a chess mom. Like I went to the basements of schools and put him in the room, and then he had his gigs because he wound up going to play some tournaments and stuff. And it's much easier. I have to say, it's much, much easier for me than it is for Elisa and her husband, because composers do go to hear a premiere and go to rehearsals, but do not have a schedule like that. Like I'm home. Don't make me leave. I would stay in this little room forever if I could. And so it's much more challenging. I just have to say that right off the bat. And I am amazed. It's to have that kind of level of artistry and manage it. So I think it's a different challenge. But yeah, it's a shared love. We all love music, but it's I don't know how they think of me, mom.
But that's
Look at this dress I'm interested in buying today. Like, oh, okay, yeah, that's nice. I like this one better. I mean, we were more dealing with very mundane issues. But then we also we're a very politically conscious family, whatever that means. And a lot of our conversations have nothing. Well, most of our conversations have nothing to do with music. We're talking about the Ukraine. We're talking about the presidential election. We're talking about there's a lot of very rich conversation. It's outside of our own personal interests.
No, I'd say the same. I mean, obviously it's very, very different stages of life. My girl is almost 6 and is now asking very basic questions about life and about the world. And yeah, the cello is sort of just something that I do. She doesn't care.
Yeah.
At all. She loves music. I mean, she is very musical. She's I started on violin and on piano, and we'll see. I just wanted to be part of her education. That's it. No expectation whatsoever. But she does love music, and she and sometimes I'll put something on the radio and I say, do you want to keep listening to this? And she says yes. Yes, it's beautiful, and then she'll talk about it, and it's and so I mean there is a love there, and she's very musical herself, but yeah, she doesn't care that I do it at all. or that her father's a conductor, and she's like, oh yeah, Tata's conducting us, whatever. Whatever. And of course Elena is
Right.
still in the teachy stage, so
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's just, you're just mom, dad's just dad, and there's this other thing that, they do, but
Although
Um,
I will tell you just one very funny thing. I was practicing Rococo variations next to her.
mm,
She was drawing or something. And this like a year ago or something like that. And I got to the end of the third variation, where it's very, very high. You go up to like this extremely high harmonic.
mm.
And then she just kind of, she turned around, she looked at me like, and I was kind of experimenting with sound things and trying, and she said, "Mom, I think you need a little rosin."
Was she right? Yeah.
That could solve the problems.
Right.
But like her face was like she smelled something. That she's like, I think you need some rosin.
Right. Yeah. Something's not right.
Yeah.
Um, Speaking of children giving opinions and unsolicited advice,
Yes.
if you you're entering that stage now, right, Alisa? Or have you been there?
I think we entered that stage when she was born.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm very much in that stage with my 12-year-old.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's preteen. That's something else. But
Different. I'll say that.
I'm gonna pick your brain about that.
But it's great. It's great because because now it's like, oh, I see how you think, and sometimes it's challenging, and I'm like, oh, when did you start, vocalizing your thoughts on things? But it's beautiful though. All part of what it is, I guess. Um, this is really great. So, Olivia, Olivia has something. Sorry.
Quick question, maybe just to touch on. I think we touched on it a little bit, but maybe both of you could just say one thing that you kind of hope that could get better. Like, what could be done to be improved? What could we say to, like, a young musician that is in the middle of a career who's thinking about a family? What's something that you would be thinking about? I really wish that this could be better. Maybe just some thoughts on that from your perspective.
Well, one thought I've had while I've been in this session is that we need a male equivalent, like, because it's very different issues for them, but they need to talk about it too, and embrace their role that's different from something different from my dad. My dad is a lovely person, but very, very traditional dad. And so that they could talk about, how do I take my kid on the road? Here Alisa says, that's just natural for you guys. But just embracing how beautiful fatherhood is. Everyone talks about motherhood and maternal. Well, paternal is pretty darn cool, And again, I had this similar experience what Alisa was saying about, oh, it's so sweet. There's a dad with their kid. It's so sweet. We're like, what? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. So I think this, special status you get is that it should just really be like equal to ours.
It shouldn't be unusual.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. No, I would totally echo that. I would also say childcare options for every budget. And look, I mean, I'm blessed to have the resources to have a nanny with me all the time, but it's prohibitively expensive. Even, I mean, for us, it's also prohibitively expensive. And just, it's a recent thing that parents are expected to do it all. It used to be that if it took a village to raise a child was typical, and family was around, or aunties, cousins, right? I mean, they were all helping out, and we forget that actually it's a very recent thing that parents are supposed to be able to do it all on their own. And I can't tell you the amount of times I've been made to feel very guilty about having hired help, even though it would literally be impossible to work without the hired help. So it's like it's catch-22. Well, go back to work. Oh, you have a nanny? What a luxury.
Right. Yeah.
Well, what do you want from me?
Right.
Kind of. So yeah. So, to make it more acceptable, to make make it more affordable, more accessible, I would say.
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about this. Like also, like I've traveled a lot when my son was a baby, and I didn't have a nanny with me, but we would go to a place and then
Yeah.
research. Oh, like can someone watch my child for the next 3 hours while I'm playing a concert? Or so
Yeah.
just kind of sharing
You also
resources.
have to practice. You have to take a
Right.
shower. You need to, you need to take a little nap before you play so you can be at your best on stage. You know, it's a whole thing, you know.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, this has been so great. I'm so appreciative of you both for joining us, and for those watching and everyone here. It's always a joy to have these conversations, and it's our hope that it will be a resource for all kinds of people and parents and anyone really out there. So thank you so much, and for being so open and personal again, and just willing to share. That really is really so valuable to all of us listening in. So I think we're going to wrap up. I want to say that our next forum will be May 1st at the same time at 1 p.m. I think, right? Yes, 1 p.m. May 1st, which is also a Sunday. And again, our website is matricalis.com, and you can find all our resources there. This video will live on Facebook, so you can always come back and watch. And I think that's it. I think we're ready to sign off. So thanks again for our guest. This was really, really lovely. I'm super inspired.
You both.
Yeah. This is really great. And we'll see you all next time. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Take
Thanks
care.
so much.